It's time for a bike break. Thanks for joining us today. Bike Break is brought to you by Smart Trips, the Community Cycling Center, Portland Bureau of Transportation, and it's made possible with support from Metro and the Federal Transportation Administration. And the event is part of Sunday Parkways Live, sponsored by Kaiser Permanente. It's a good idea to plan the route you're going to take. So let's say you're going to go to your workplace. Maybe you've been driving there for years. You probably want to take a different route if you're biking than the one that you used when you were driving. If you're like me, being in the middle of fast-moving, loud traffic is just not the funnest way to get around. It's being on a nice low-traffic street or in a protected bike lane, much more comfortable. So we talked about finding your best route using a few different ways. Google Maps is one. TriMet has a great route planner. And if I may say so, PBOT's PortlandBikeMap.com, all one word, PortlandBikeMap.com gets you to our city bike map of our bikeways, and it's mobile friendly. So go ahead and link it on your phone. Once you've got a route, what do you think is a good thing to do?
I think a really good thing is to try it out before you actually need to ride it for work, or if there's like a destination you need to go to at a specific time, maybe ride it on the day before that, or maybe a week before that when you're not as stressed. I think one thing to keep in mind is there may be a time in Google Maps or whatever app you're using, but it may be for a time of day when you're biking when it's really hot. So you might be going slower than normal, or there may be hills that you're not used to. So I think it's important to kind of maybe bring a friend, have a day of it. We do it for bike camp where we had our training and we got to go ride out to Powell Butte. So now we kind of know how to do it and we're not as stressed out when we're doing it for camp. And then now I was just helping out, but I found a really cool, fun route to Powell Butte that I want to do outside of work. Awesome. So you can kind of check things out and have some time to like see if there's a better route. I just found out that I've been biking on one street, but a couple blocks down, there's a way better bike street, a little greenway that has like no traffic on it. That is much better than I've been doing for the past 2 years. And I've just never had the time to kind of go out and try it until the other day when I decided to take my time getting to work.
That's a great idea because we all know getting to work is stressful enough. So take some of that stress off.
Another tip is packing for your destination the night before. I am guilty of not doing this. My first day at the cycling center, I forgot to pack extra shoes. So I showed up wearing my cycling shoes and realized I didn't bring sneakers. And thankfully, this is the one place where it was okay and normal for me to be walking around in cycling shoes. But I was a little embarrassed on my first day. So I think getting things ready beforehand and making sure that you have everything that you need is really important. Because when you're just rushing out in the morning, you're likely to forget things. And oftentimes, you know, when you're biking away, it's not as easy to kind of pop back to your house if you forget something.
It's true. And only you know what it is that you need. You know, for me, you might have noticed I didn't bring a comb today. And I don't think I need one, but other people might think I do. They would pack me a comb. And once you've gotten to your destination, you just go to your desk, or what do you think about there?
I think one thing that's really important is figuring out where you're going to park your bike. Making sure that there's secure parking is really important. You don't want to be worrying the whole day if your bike is okay. Another thing is clothing. I work at a bike shop, so I can kind of wear, you know, bike clothing. It's a little greasier and that's okay. But when I used to work at a different job, I had to wear more business casual stuff. So I would actually drive like maybe once a week and then bring my clothes for the week there and then kind of keep my spares there. And then the next week I just kind of switch it out. And I always like to keep an extra pair of shoes where I go because sometimes I forget my normal shoes. So it's really important to kind of have spares and kind of think about that. And maybe if you're going to be have like an important meeting where you don't want to be sweaty, maybe you ride a little slower, leave earlier and not push yourself. I also try to schedule things around the hottest part of the day because I don't really want to show up and really sweaty and like have to think about that.
That's an excellent idea. And some places, I mean, I'm lucky enough to work in a building where there is a shower. More and more buildings have those, but plenty of places that people work do not. But I did find, since I wasn't sure today if I'd be able to use the shower, I packed my little bag And I just brought a washcloth and a little towel. And, you know, in other places where I've worked, I have found myself a corner of the bathroom and taken my wet washcloth, freshened myself up. Maybe you want to bring some specially scented toiletries if those help you feel more ready to roll. Let's see, the last thing is, well, if it is really congested on your route, you can always look for another route. And again, I'm going to put in a plug for portlandbikemap.com. It's mobile friendly. You can pull out your phone and say, hey, it's really busy on this road. Where's the next bike road that works well for me? And maybe you'll find a route like Matt that's a couple blocks away and is actually nicer. You also might just look at your route that you planned and see how it satisfies your need for your personal sense of security. And we each have our own different needs for what that looks like. So for some people, having lots of eyes on the street is a more welcoming environment, knowing that there's a place they could pull over, like a coffee shop or whatever. Knowing that there's a transit stop nearby in case they have a mechanical issue with their bike and they could just go over and put the bike on the transit. Or knowing that there's a bike shop nearby. So one thing you could do is check out our bike and walk maps, our neighborhood bike and walk maps, because we have northeast, north, southeast, etc. And those not only show all the bikeways, they also show all the transit stops, all the bike shops, and other handy things like where's their public bathroom or a water fountain. We also recognize, and this is something that PBOT is newly coming to terms with, that different people have different experiences of feeling secure on the street. And some people, based on either their identity or how people perceive them, may experience more issues of harassment or just attention that they're not interested in. And it's an issue that we're trying to work with. We're trying to listen to the community to get some ideas, because it's a big lift to make sure that everyone is secure on the right of way, meaning every place that you travel through the city. But we know that it's part of our responsibility. One suggestion that we've heard that we're working towards is in areas where there's a lot of need for people to get by on foot or by bike, increasing the street lighting so that it feels more safe and people can see you, for example, if you're crossing the street, things like that. But you know, the other way that you can work on increasing your sense of security is by having a good network of friends, especially friends who bike, who can help you think through these challenges and suggest a new route or suggest other things that they have done that help them feel better. And it's also just great to have a listening ear, especially someone who understands the experience you have. So as I mentioned back in our last episode, Bike Break 6, we listed some groups that are designed to be enjoyable spaces for folks of whatever identity they ascribe to. So if you're Black or Latinx or trans, there are rider groups especially for you. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.